For the past few months, I've been working on a podcast called Event Stars to help people in the events industry, and I've had some really fantastic opportunities to interview some superb people from the industry and beyond. But like many things at the moment, now is not the time to launch it. Now is the time where we need to come together and support each other for what is going to be truly difficult times ahead. So I've been switching it up a little bit while my business is pretty much at zero, and decided to do a podcast that can help people cut through the noise and help businesses hopefully grow and learn during this period. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that something good can come from it. If you've got any suggestions, then feel free to get in touch. Hello and welcome to another episode of Opportunity in Isolation. In this episode, I interview Andrey Yurchenko from St. Petersburg, who was born in Estonia to a Russian family. He began traveling from an early age, and it was this which led him to get the travel bug. Andrey started his career working in the luxury tourism industry for a few years before starting his own company called PriorityStatus 7 years ago. His clients range from corporate organizations to extremely wealthy individuals, and his event portfolio includes incoming events to Russia, her territories and the Baltics, sporting events and hospitality, including the Sochi Olympics through to the FIFA World Cup, corporate events and individuals traveling around the globe, from New Year's Eve cruises to Antarctica, and unforgettable birthday yacht experiences. Now, I've known Andrey for about 3 years now, and I met him at an events conference in Madrid, quite enjoyable, and we became good friends since. I've had the pleasure of visiting him in St. Petersburg in Russia, and he's returned the favour by coming to see me in the UK. And I was also lucky enough last year to attend his wedding in Tallinn in Estonia in September 2019. We talked about a number of topics in this podcast, including the situation with COVID in Russia, some of the amazing sights to see in the country, working in events during the 2018 World Cup in Russia and some of the challenges that posed, the sometimes strange perception from the outside world of what life is like in Russia, and some of the, let's say, extraordinary requests that some of his high-end clients have asked of him. So, as always, happy listening, and I hope that you enjoy. It's recording. Okay, record my sound. All right, that's good. 1 2 1 2. Okay. All right, ready? Yeah. Andrey, first of all, thank you for joining me here on my podcast. First of all, what's that background you've got on Zoom there?
Background on Zoom?
Yeah, you can describe it for people listening.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe starting from the March. I use it like from maybe November.
No. I think let me start again. I think you misunderstood the background on the screen. I mean, like the picture.
Oh, you mean
yeah. All right, let me start again. Yeah, I'll start again. Andrey, first of all, thank you for joining me on this podcast. First question, what's the background that you've got here on Zoom, so people who are listening can understand what you've got there?
Thank you for the invitation, Gamesh. It's my pleasure. On the background, you can see the main center, the really center of St. Petersburg, which is the northern capital of Russia. And you can see like one of the greatest monuments we have here, and one of the oldest hotel, which is to my left side. Yeah, it's called Roccaforte chain of hotels, and it's called Astoria. It's a 5-star hotel with very luxury style and very historical background.
Sounds good. And we're talking on the 3rd of July 2020. Tomorrow in England, the restaurants and the pubs are opening for the first time in 3 or 4 months. So everyone's very excited, I think. What's the situation there in Russia now in relation to COVID-19 and the lockdown?
The situation in Russia is, I can say it's like we have our own information from our friends, from our relatives, friends of the friends, and now we can just realize what's happening around us. And the second part of the information we have from the government. The government says like we have like these numbers of cases of COVID viruses, but we don't know really what's truth is. So it's like maybe in every country, I don't know, but in Russia we just get used to it. So, but what has changed in our lives? It's for sure where from the end of the March, all the restaurants, all the pubs, cafes, and barbershops, they were closed. And maybe from the middle of April, our president has agreed the deal with the local governments that they will decide on their own when they want to choose the date of openings, like for the restaurants, for different kind of businesses. So they are choosing on their own. And this is why at the moment, the situation in Moscow is much more easier for the businesses, because they have now even opened the restaurants, which is like the most crowded places in the city, and they're open not only at the summer terraces, but also inside the interiors. Comparing to St. Petersburg is completely different, not like completely different, but we thought that we were going to be like on the same stage as Moscow. But only from this Monday, we have opened the summer terraces. So before that, there were only food to go, meals to go, and business lunches to go, and so on. So business of this food business were really struggling. I mean, compared to my business, which is travel, of course, we just locked down still. I mean, like to go abroad. Of course, the tourism inside Russia, it's going up. I mean, it's recovering, but for sure, I got a lot of questions from my clients, from my friends, when the border will be opened again, when they will reopen, when they will allow us to fly again. Nobody knows the real answer, because the information is changing day by day. But I don't see that the infrastructure of Russian territories, I mean, like deep territories, like there is like Moscow, St. Petersburg, maybe Kazan, Sochi, Vladivostok, and maybe that's all. Yeah, but we have a lot of territory, but the infrastructure is not on the level which will allow these 25 millions of tourists to go all over the Russia, because even the eastern part of the territory, the tourists from there, the Russian tourists, they want to go to South Korea with to Vietnam, to Japan, because it's easier for them than to go to Sochi or go to, Crimea, maybe. So the situation is getting better, but in my opinion, we need to act more quickly. I mean, if the guys who are dealing from the government with this recovering of the economics, the businesses. They need to find more quicker solutions, and this will get the businesses.
And has the government been able to support the businesses very much in terms of paying workers or paying something towards the business costs?
So in this case, our government helped us. This is for sure. But of course, we didn't expect any help from the government. But they helped us. For example, for the main struggling businesses as travel and restaurants businesses, they paid the minimum salary for each of official employee in your company. They paid this minimum salary for 2 months. For in May they paid for April. In June they paid for May. So for sure this is good than nothing. And also they made a special program which allows the struggling businesses to get these credits from the banks with a special program. You know, like when the government is like the guarantee that between the business and the bank. So if the business cannot pay all the bills at the end of the credit, so the government will pay for it.
You know, I've always been fascinated by Russia since I studied Russian history and Russian Revolution at school, and I think just the whole vastness of the country. I mean, you spoke earlier about the fact that on the east side of Russia, it's easier to go to South Korea and Japan than it is to travel into Europe. Tell me about some of the attractions of being a tourist in Russia. Tell me about some of the landmarks that people can visit, because I know that you've got a variety from perhaps like the mountains. I mean, you shared videos of some of the landscapes, to the city breaks and so on.
Yeah, for sure. For our country, which is very, very huge, we have lots of landmarks, and maybe we don't have a lot of landmarks in the middle of Russia because it's full of forests only. It's called taiga, Siberian taiga. But if you are going to Russia, for sure, I mean, if you want to visit the whole Russia, like you're going to, I don't know, Italy, you're going to the northern part of Italy, you're going to Tuscany and so on, it will take you like maybe a week, and that's all. That's good. But to visit but to go to Russia and see and like taste everything, because the whole Russia is different. We have different republics inside of Russia. We have, if you want to spare it, it's like European part, middle part, and eastern part, we call it. And so European part is about Moscow, St. Petersburg for sure, which again is on my background, my home city. And for sure, you must visit the Republic of Karelia, which is connected with St. Petersburg. It's like takes maybe 3 hours by coach to go there, because it's a formal Finnish territory. And this is very, very beautiful. It's like very Scandinavian style. Very good, and with the gorgeous landscapes and so on. So, and for sure, when you're visiting Moscow, you can go to the Golden Circle, which connects Moscow with the different oldest towns around Moscow, which is very, very, very interesting trip. And for sure, when you go maybe a bit to the south, if you know, there is a city of Sochi, which is very popular after the Olympic Games, the Winter Olympic Games, and then after the FIFA World Cup, which is like a very, I can call it unique city, because you can swim and also go to the mountains, which are covered by snow, at the same day. So this is like very different. And for sure, when you travel, if you want to travel the whole Russia, you can choose the Trans-Siberian train, which is one of the most luxurious train, but affordable comparing what you are
getting,
what you can see during this trip.
Yeah.
Because you live on this train, you have everything there, the shower, the food, the guides, the tours are included. It starts from Moscow and ends in Vladivostok, which is the most eastern part. And you can see there are like, maybe it takes 2 weeks, and it makes stops every 2 days. It makes stops, night stop, and you're having the tour in a different kind of cities. So you are, after it, you can see the whole picture of Russia, like all the republics, their citizens, because we're really different in Russia.
I mean, we met probably, I think, 3 or 4 years ago now, and we met at an events conference, and we always spoke about, I'm going to come to Russia, you're going to come to England, and I remember visiting St. Petersburg 2 years ago, I think in April, just before the World Cup, and I remember just before I came, there were so many people saying to me, "Why are you going to Russia? You know, it's haven't you seen the documentaries about what happens to people tourists who go to
this crisis?"
And then people were saying, "Oh, it's racist there. You know, you might get poisoned there, and you know, all kinds of things." And when I got to Russia, St. Petersburg, it was just like any other bustling European city, multicultural, cosmopolitan, and nobody looked at me twice as if I was like from a different country. I mean, like no one could have made me feel more welcome than what you did, and then obviously the local population did, and it was amazing. But it just goes to show that if you just listen to the news all the time, especially the way that I think the media can be, you might not go and visit somewhere because of your perception. I mean, what are some of the things that you hear people say about Russia that you think are just like crazy?
Well, if we are talking about like main things which you said about Russia, it doesn't matter from which country. I mean, like you said that when it was the crisis between UK and Russia, everybody in UK were canceling the trips, group trips, individual trips. They were canceling because they were really scared about the poisoning and stuff like that. And I also myself, when I came to UK in January 2019, last year. And I was traveling alone, and I got stopped in the airport by the security guy because I was traveling by the plane from St. Petersburg, from Russia, and I was traveling alone with a suitcase, and I was stopped, and they were just trying me, "Hello, sir. Can I please look at your suitcase? What's inside? Have a nice day." Like, you know, I felt a bit like Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, the things which you said about Russia, for sure, like it's very people in Russia. What people are saying, people in Russia, they are really how can I say, groomed. Maybe like they're very they look unhappy.
Yeah, they have this stone.
They're not they're not smiling. They're not talking to you. That they're not saying like hi or just giving you a good word, good luck in your day. This is one of the things that I heard. Also, that we have a bad weather. And we have bears on the streets, which are playing. I'm not kidding. We have bears on the streets which are playing balalaika, and on the same moment, these bears are riding the bicycles around the streets. So this is crazy, and they do it, and they do it in front of Putin's palace on the Red Square. Yeah, so completely mad stories. But when people are coming to Russia, they're changing their minds. I hope that they're changing it maybe in 50%, not like upside down. For sure, it cannot be done, but. For most of the tourists, in my opinion, all over the world, the Russia is like a very mystical, not a very mystical, but a mystical country, which they are on their bucket lists. So this may help us to be like, not among like every country in the world, but a bit like special sauce.
Yeah, I think definitely it's like when you talked about the Trans-Siberian Railway. I mean, that's something that I would love to do, just to be able to see the diversity of Russia, how it's going to be changing as you wake up one morning, you're in a completely different place, and what people don't maybe grasp sometimes with a country the size of Russia is that it's going to be completely different in one part to another, like you said, because of the fact that it's almost like a continent, but it's spread across two continents. So it is going to be so different. What's the situation at the moment with the visas, especially from the UK? Because I know that was one issue that we had, was having to go to travel to the consulate to get a visa. And in this day and age, you just want to get it done quickly on the internet.
So about visas, that the main issue for the foreign tourists is that you have to plan your trip to Russia maybe 2 months or more before the trip, because you will give your passport to the embassy and they will just give it back to you in 2 weeks or more.
Yeah.
This is like what was stopping a lot of individuals and groups, just tourists. But maybe, I don't remember exactly, but I guess starting from 2017, we got this special visas for the visitors for the Confederation Cup. And then our eastern part, they came out with the idea to make e-visa for the tourists for their territory. So like for their very small territory, but they had a lot of tourists from South Korea, Japan, China, and so on. So to make it easier to get the visa for them, they just made like a free e-visa, maybe for, I don't remember, but for 14 days or something. But that was enough for this small region. And now, the fresh information is that on the 1st of October this year, our government will send a plan to the tour operators that foreign tourists can get e-visa, applying online and getting the visa maybe in 2 or 3 days, which will allow to travel the whole Russia for 30 or more days I don't remember exactly, maybe a bit less, but anyways, this is a very good point. And the main point that you don't need to give your passport to the embassy. You're just making it online, like they did with the e-visa for St. Petersburg last year. My friend, he is the citizen of Republic of Ireland. He applied for this visa online and get it in 1 day, just online, just from the phone.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah, so for Russia, it's like a big step, because previously the whole dialogue about this was ending with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was ending the same article like ages before. The article was like, if the Western countries will make easier to get the visa for Russians, we will make the same for them. So it was like the circle. Yeah. But now it's like very big step. So everybody is expecting which countries will be on this list in October. For sure, we expect that they will include UK and maybe some other countries with which we didn't have any visas problems before. But we'll see. Yeah. This is a big step.
And in terms of your business, I know you do incoming and outgoing tourism and events from Russia. I mean, what are kind of the type of typical clients that you would work with and some of the requests that people have given you? And the reason I'm asking that is I remember the one time you asked me, because we're both in events, you asked me if I knew anyone in LA because you had a very special client who wanted a special gift giving to somebody, which was a very expensive gift. And I was just thinking to myself, the kind of clients that you must have must obviously sometimes be very wealthy individuals.
Yeah, for sure. When we are talking about my business, we are working with the individual and corporate groups as well. And we also provide concierge services around the world because we have a lot of partners, reliable partners. This is the main thing in this business. So you must rely on somebody and it will...
1 second, I just need to press record again. If you start again when you said we have a lot of reliable partners, 1 second, or you can start from it.
Can I just a second? Yeah. So you want me to start again with the explanation of my clients?
Yeah. So imagine I just asked you the question. Tell me about some of the clients that you work with because of that time you asked me. I mean, you must work with some very special clients.
I remember that. That was my very maybe strange question for you, but I was at that time I was searching for the partner for somebody who can go to the Cartier shop directly. I mean, we found that shop, we found the jewelry we need to buy for our client, and the issue was that we need to find the reliable person who can just go there, buy it, and just deliver it to the friend of our client. Yeah, so we have lots of requests such as like that, because we work with the individual and corporate trips, but also we provide concierge services. And sometimes we got like requests like that, and or maybe it's not only about simple things for us, simple things to organize the private jet or yacht charter wherever or whenever it's needed, but also like a very strange request, which is like to find special how can I say, special boots from Texas, like our client saw in the movie, and we were searching for these boots. You know, like boots. I mean, like shoes.
Oh, shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. We were searching for them, like for really like a copy of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people sometimes they're asking very strange things for us to make it happen, but we're working as a concierge services, so there is
like when you're dealing with somebody who's high profile enough to get asked for a private jet and a yacht, what are some of the things that you have to put in place when you're working to make sure that you do the job right for them? Because it's not just sometimes about, oh, you ring up the jet company and say, oh, this guy wants a jet, make sure it's ready. You must have to make sure that everything is perfect, because I know that those kind of clients expect...
You don't have second chance.
Yeah, and they expect a certain level of service.
Yeah, for us, every request is VIP for us. So we don't categorize the clients as VIPs or non-VIPs. Everybody is VIP, so very important persons for us, very important request. And we are sending these requests to our partners, which is like a yacht charter company or direct owner of the yacht, doesn't matter, the hotels, the villas. We're telling them that this is very important person. Even if they spend, I don't know, 200 euros for this request, and we are making like a 10% of revenue. But anyways, this is why we're making all the things happening for them if they want them to happen, and we are making sure that this will happen. So we're double check it on the same day. Before that, we're double checking it again. So you must, when you're working with such clients, you must double check your each step and double check the person who is
working with. Yeah. And without naming any names, I mean, are other clients sometimes like millionaires, billionaires?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And
I don't know about how billionaires, but millionaires, dollar. I mean, we're talking about dollar millionaires.
Yeah. And what, I mean, you mentioned the leather Texan boots, but what are some of the other strange requests that you've had to deal with in your time?
Well, I had some strange requests, but I don't want to talk about it right here. It's not like the place to talk about, but we had an experience with for example, one person was he asked us to make a yacht charter in Côte d'Azur. It was more than 5 years ago. And it was high season, and he asked it like 1 week before their departure. In Côte d'Azur, there are like maybe 300 of yachts of different kinds, but in high season you cannot find a suitable yacht. But anyways, we found it. He liked it, and on the day of the departure, his assistant called me like, Andrey, I have a question for you. Can you hear me? Yeah, sure, I'm here. What's happening? I was already like shaking, like, what's happening? Why are you calling me? but he told me like, I have a question for you. I have an ask for you. We need 10,000 euros in cash on board, because he's willing to play these
Poker.
He would play poker, I guess,
Yeah.
with his friends, and he needed cash. So, but he cannot use his own money,
Right.
to show. So it was very fun story for us because we didn't have any of our employees there. So we have a reliable partner there, and we asked him to go to the cash machine, get the cash from his company, and then we paid him with this extra fee for the cash.
But sorry, I don't understand. How did you? Did the guy give you the money to go and get it? Because I can't imagine somebody just saying, "Yeah, I'll get 10,000 euros out or $10,000, and then you pay me back."
Yeah, it was like that. So I just on this like this. It wasn't our partner from 1 month. He was like with us for maybe more than 3 years, and we made.
So the trust was there. A lot of trust between you.
Yeah. We trusted him. He trusted us. So we made a lot of projects from middle level and high level, and we just told him that we're in this situation that we can cancel everything if he didn't. If our client didn't get this money.
Yeah.
It was a fun story because it was in the evening, and like you're sitting in front of the sea, having a glass of wine, and you got a call like, "Hey man, I need 10,000 euros right now."
Crazy.
It was funny, but we made it, and everybody was happy. In my business, this is the very main thing. The trust between the partners and the same vision of the project. It doesn't matter if it's only the transfer from the airport or the whole trip for the family or corporate group.
And you know what I like about the language that you use, and I think it's maybe something I've seen more in Eastern Europe, is that, for example, I would call my transfer company my supplier, but you call them partners, which I think is a much better term to use because in essence you are a partner in the whole experience.
That's what I told you. You must send your message, share your vision with your partner, and this is what helping you to be confident that they will do their best with your client because you are sending your client to them.
Yeah.
And this is the main point. This is what we are doing. This is sometimes it's a problem when people don't speak English. At least it happened with us in Singapore when we were sending the client. Was a very long trip with Dubai and Bali and then Singapore. And in Singapore, in Marina Bay Sands, we had a problem with the guest relationship manager. She didn't speak English at all. It was a deep night. No one was working. No one could help us. But this is the issue. So the issue to share your vision.
No, of course. And you worked during the World Cup in 2018. And again, thinking back to that summer, the World Cup, from my memory, it was probably the best World Cup. For personal reasons as well, England got so far in the World Cup. The summer in England was great.
You did well.
Yeah, and the tournament itself just looked so well organised, and there were a lot of fears, especially from England and fans not wanting to go. But what was the experience like in Russia at the time of the World Cup?
Well, the time of the World Cup is very special for us because it was on our own ground. So we started working with the World Cups from 2014, when it took place in Brazil. But when it was happening on our ground, we were working as an incoming agency. I love to show my city to my friends, to my clients, to make trips inside Russia. It is always very interesting for us and for me as well. But when we were working with the World Cup, we started working maybe from the Confederation Cup, because people were coming to Russia to see the infrastructure, the hotels, to
inspect.
Yeah, to what expect, to be prepared for the things.
And to put it, the Confederations Cup for everyone listening was in 2017, wasn't it? Summer.
Yeah. And it also took place in St. Petersburg as well, in our fresh new stadium. So maybe the main work started for us in the end of March, when we got like requests day by day. And from the middle of April and until the final game, I myself was working without stop, without any holidays, for more than 19 hours a day. I was calculating because it was very, very hard for us, because lots of clients were coming from South America, and the time difference, when you're going like out of office, you're going to bed, maybe they're just
waking up,
their main time to work. So amazing time, really.
So what were some of the challenges that you remember working on an international project like that?
The challenges maybe could be the logistics here, because maybe lots of transport companies, they were rejecting working on the request, maybe on one-time request. They were asking to work only for the whole championship.
Okay.
I mean, like the contract, which will be much more bigger. But sometimes we just needed one-day transfer, that's all. Some of the partners, they were helping us. We didn't expect it, but that was amazing. So, and also all the, maybe not all of them, but most of the airline tickets, they were sold out. So one challenge for us was that we got a request from one of the partners in Russia, and they asked us to find any ticket, any airline ticket, or to hire the private jet for one of the ex-Russian national team coaches, because he was one of the, as I can say in English, commentators,
Yeah, pundit.
What?
Commentators or pundits on the show, yeah.
And he was commenting the game in one city, and he had to be in St. Petersburg on the next day. But the game which he was attending in the other city was ending very lately. And there was no train, no airline, so we just found for him the private jet. But it was very, like very tiny, on tiny line, because lots of partners were like making money on it, but then just, not making anything.
Yeah.
But we did it, and that was challenging, because the level of the person was very high, and we did it. So this was one of the challenges. Also, sometimes our partners were our partners' employees who were on the ground with the tourists inside the hotels. They were making some mistakes, which we were facing with the employees of the hotels. Like during the night, we were having calls with the with the DoubleTree by Hilton hotel in Yekaterinburg to finding the room for one of the main guests who arrived lately at the hotel, and just she was told at the reception that there is no room for her, but she had a booking.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this is a thing sometimes when you are working with partners and suppliers, it's the fact that you really have to put your trust in them, that somebody doesn't let them down. Whether it's one of the staff at the hotel who could, not tidy the room properly, or not deliver the room service impeccably. So these are kind of some of the challenges that I see, especially when you're doing something like a World Cup, when the demand for the product is so high. So I can totally understand what you're saying there. Do you think that, I mean, to what extent do you think that the World Cup gave Russia a positive, let me try and get my phraseology right. To what extent do you think that the World Cup enhanced Russia's reputation as being able to deliver big events like this and as a tourist destination?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that Russia gained a lot of points among the countries all over the world because, as you said, that no one was expecting that the World Cup, one of the major events in the world, will be so cool. Everybody was saying so cool. No, doesn't matter if you're from UK, from Mexico, from Brazil, from Germany, Portugal, doesn't matter. Everybody was happy. I was asking people from different kind of the world, like, how did you like it or not? They would tell me, amazing, amazing, amazing. Of course, they were telling me some things that they were they faced, but it wasn't a problem. It was like a special kind of maybe Russian mentality, but people in Russia, they also changed. They started smiling because people, they were in the one big party.
Yeah.
Everybody was asking each day, like, who's playing, where are you going, do you have tickets, maybe, or which bar do you have place, because all the bars were full of people. Yeah. And all the waiters and the staff there, they were amazed. They also gained this experience. So all the country, all the people who are representing the country, they gained experience. This is the main thing. Yeah. Experience in language, in services, in feelings that you can be relaxed and also be welcomed. Be welcoming everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
be host.
Just going back to the whole. I call it I'd say it's more of an Eastern European kind of culture of a face, that when you go to Eastern Europe, people don't look like they want to smile. Yeah, like that angry kind of cold face. Why do you think that Russian people or people in the Eastern Bloc have that exterior expression?
Well, I think...
Or the question could be, why don't we have it in Western Europe? I mean, it could be the same question, phrased differently.
Well, maybe one of the reasons is that when it... maybe the Soviet times gave like a bit of it. Maybe one of the reasons is Soviet times, because as you can see, like there is in overall, you cannot say that Soviet times is good. Mostly nowadays, people are saying that Soviet times is a bad times, repressions, people were like getting out of their own homes and so on. So and when people are talking about that, they cannot talk about that with a smile.
Yeah,
and it comes from the dad to his children, and then
yeah, and I think it's just important for people to understand that when you go to Eastern Europe, just because people look like that, it doesn't mean that they're not approachable. They look maybe unapproachable, but whenever you ask somebody for directions or I can't think of anyone just telling me to like piss off or anything like that. It's always been people try and be helpful. So yeah, it's just trying to understand why people think in a certain way, and I think that's something we can all learn to do better. What are some of the things that you think you've learned from the ways of doing business from other countries? Because I mean, you've traveled a lot, and at the same time, what are some of the things that people from other countries or people from England like myself could learn from Russia in terms of how to do business?
You mean what countries can learn from making the business with Russian companies?
So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, and we'll do this question again. I'm just trying to tell the editor. We'll do this question again. What are some of the lessons that you've learned from doing business with other countries about how to do things in a different way?
Yeah, I can say that one of the lessons is that you must trust. You must give your confidence to the other person, and so you must be a bit more open than you were before. So it's not only because you're paying this guy or this company the money to make something happening for your client, but it's more over it. It's like more global inside of you. So you must be more open. You must share your ideas. You must always be open for the dialogue. I'm not telling that I was very like close person, not like that. But when you're making business or dealing with the companies or persons from around the world, you can see their own vision, and you must be like you must be how can I say, you understand what their really needs. So and this is why you are more like, there is one word describing the person who is very good in talks with the other persons around the world. Like, it doesn't matter which languages they're speaking.
Yeah.
So this is maybe one of the main things. So you must understand the mentality. You know, people from Germany and from Romania, from Scandinavia, from Africa and South America, they're completely different. You must be you cannot put everyone
with the same brush.
Yeah. So
yeah, you shouldn't tar everyone with the same brush, or you shouldn't assume that. Sorry, 1 second. I'll say that again. You shouldn't tar everybody with the same brush, and you shouldn't assume everybody works.
You must go a bit deeply in their own mentality, and this will help you on the long term.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what do you think I could learn from doing business in Russia, or other people from Western Europe, or just from outside of Russia? What could we learn from Russians?
What can you learn from Russians? I never been asked this question before. Maybe what you can learn with dealing with Russians is that you can talk a lot about your family and your real feelings from deep of your heart. I mean, if you will, you know how foreigners are sometimes are saying about Russians that when you're going for someone's dinner in Russia, they're making you like a huge table of everything, putting the best bottles of vodka and champagne, or even I don't know, rosé wine, and you can speak with them until the next day, and then continue until the next day. So this is why when Russian person giving you like I can say a key to his heart in these talks, this is the best way you can learn from Russian. So you are not talking about like some samples of your things about day, business, family, blah blah blah. Russians are when you're talking with Russians, so you are talking about his maybe a very strange story of his family which happened 200 years ago, which affected his life nowadays.
Yeah, it goes that deep.
Like this.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important and really interesting because, sometimes in England especially, we get so caught up in how quick we have to do things. I think we feel that we live in this environment that everything has to be rushed, and we don't, rather than taking the time to know the partner or the client, we just get straight onto business because everything has to be transactional straight away, and we don't think about the person. And I think what you said about what we can learn from Russia and what Russia can learn from the rest of the world, it's almost the same thing. It's that, we have to learn to understand and appreciate one another first, and then the business flows a lot easier.
Yeah. That's what I told you. This is like a long-term investment. Just maybe 1 or 2 hours sharing the dinner will help you to make greater business in more months.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I guess we could say that about how we met. We met in Madrid. We started talking. We became friends. You came to England just to visit. I came to Russia just to visit. We always thought about what are the opportunities out there, and then we have done business together since. And it's just that's how things sometimes work, and that is the beauty of getting to know people, because I know I can put my trust in you, and you know that you can put your trust in me if we're trying to deliver something for you as well. I think that's great. I mean, the final thing I'd ask is, because I'm just conscious of time, is that where do you see events and tourism going in the next few months, and what do you think will change after COVID?
It's always hard to predict such things. I mean, these businesses are struggling too much, and they're very they're like under the glass, so everybody's watching it, like what's happening, because tourism is the key of what's happening in the country or in the world. Because when tourism is okay, so everybody feels okay. I mean, like everybody has money to travel. Restaurants are having their guests as well as the hotels and so on. So this is like the key for us. This is my opinion. What will happen? Maybe we have to wait until the end of this summer, because for me, what's happening now is like the mid stage. If the fall season will go like now, so more easier, so there won't be any of chances of second wave. So for me, it's like the full way, I mean, the straight way for the recovery, or the full recovery, because people can't stay in one place. It can't be stay, so no chance for that. People have to travel. People want to travel. It helps business. No online conversation, no online webinars, or it's like
virtual events,
exhibitions, museums. This is nothing. That was like a short-term pill. But the main thing which will help, it's full recovery of tourism and events as well, because events and tourism is like on the same level.
Yeah,
I mean nowadays.
I totally agree. And like you said, that tourism is almost like a barometer for the whole world economy. If tourism is going well, then it seems to imply that the world economy is doing well as well, and hopefully we'll have a quick recovery. Andrey, any final thoughts before we end it today? Any final comments you'd like to make?
Well, I don't. I guess no comments. I'm just happy to talk to you finally.
Yeah, no, it's been
and
good.
I hope that your attendants, your friends who is watching you, have like a bit more vision, a bit more news. What's happening in Russia and how Russian deals.
Hopefully this will encourage more people to come and visit you, and if anyone's watching in Russia, then I hope it encourages more people to come and visit us here in England as well. And you're obviously always welcome, and we'll continue our deep connection, and come and stay with us whenever you want.
For sure.
Look forward to it, man. All right, Andrey, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers. All right, thanks, Andrey. That was good. Let me just cut this off now. Thank you for listening and watching. If you've got any suggestions or any feedback, then feel free to get me on Twitter at GurmejSP or Insta at events_Gurmej, spelled Gurmej. Thank you for listening. Catch you soon.